So for some more analysis, we're now joined by Gina Abercrombie-Winstanley. She is a former U.S. diplomat in Israel and also a former deputy coordinator for counterterrorism. She's now a non-resident senior fellow at the Atlantic Council and joining us now from Cleveland. Gina, it's good to speak with you.
Thank you. Good to speak with you as well.
So we're seeing this retaliation from Iran, and not just in one sort of barrage of strikes. Now we've seen a second happen. What do you make of these latest developments? Were you surprised? I mean, it's now just after 2 a.m. in the morning in Israel.
Yeah. Well, I don't believe anybody would be surprised at Iran's efforts to retaliate. As our representative in the United Nations said very clearly, every state has the right of self-defense. And certainly this goes for Israel, but it goes for every state, as he said. And therefore, with this attack, Iran was expected to respond.
Gina, talk to me about, what has led Israel to, we just heard Sasha talk about the fact that this is something that is potentially months in the planning here. What were the key factors that have pushed Israel to the strike that happened, now about 24 hours ago, to strike Iran in the first place here?
Yes, he's quite right. Years, if not months in the making, certainly perhaps months in the specifics. But Israel has been calling for military strikes against Iran since the Obama administration, and they were very much against negotiated deal with Iran in 2015, 2016. So now we're at 2025, and President Trump was trying to get a better deal. He was very clear that he wanted to pursue diplomacy, but the deadline he gave, a very tight one of 2 months, was over yesterday. And that, of course, allowed the Israelis to attack without jeopardizing negotiations at that time. Now, President Trump intended to continue those talks, and his change of tune that we heard this morning of saying it was an excellent attack is making lemonade out of lemons, because if he wanted to end those negotiations yesterday, he would have done so.
He did also, I was looking at his Truth Social account, he also did suggest that maybe Iran has another chance at these negotiations. I mean, the U.S. was previously a stabilizing force. So how much impact does the United States, as you were pointing out, strong support for Israel, have on all of this?
Yeah. Well, of course, it undermines our credibility as an honest broker or a neutral party who would hope to get those talks back on track. I don't doubt that the president would like to return to diplomacy, but it's going to be incredibly difficult with our statements of support to defend Israel, even as Israel attacked Iran preemptively, as they say, but they were the initiators of this round. And of course, President Trump pulled us out of the last agreement. So there was already a deficit of trust between the U.S. and Iran, and certainly on the Iranians' part, for President Trump to stand by his word. We've had other challenges with regard to Ukraine, even the Gaza Strip, where the president got a ceasefire in place shortly after being elected, and then lost interest. And so the war has begun in Gaza. How will the Iranians trust that the U.S. can not only get a ceasefire from the Israelis, but hold on to it?
Let me ask you, and I don't know to what end you can answer or have thoughts on this, but what is the reaction from the Iranians? And by that, I don't mean the authority, but I'm talking about the citizens of Iran. We've heard recently from the Israeli prime minister calling on them, saying that this is an opportunity and basically calling on them to rise up. What do you anticipate is sort of next to happen here? And is that even a likely scenario or a possible one?
Yeah. Well, as briefly as I can, we can never tell when a nation will rise up. The Arab Spring, starting in Tunisia, was a shock to diplomats like myself who had been in the region for decades and analyzing the domestic political situation. It was a shock in Tunisia, it was a shock in Egypt, etc. So we can never say when that point will be reached. However, there was a great deal of hope in Iran that these talks would be successful, the same way there was a great deal of hope in the United States that President Trump could make this deal a good one that would stick. So there's a great deal of disappointment that this military action has happened. And the Iranians, not only suffering from an Israeli attack, but significant economic pressures, domestic pressures, tensions between the military and the civilian government, between the state and the people, women. There are many pressures that might cause unrest within Iran. But nobody is going to be happy about the Israelis attacking in this way. And it could well do what it did in the Gaza Strip, which is bring people closer to the government. We cannot tell yet.
Gina, off the top, I asked you if you were surprised to see the kind of escalation that we have seen since Israel initiated this, and the answer, in short, is that you're not. A lot of people watching are very concerned about where this might go, given some of the players in the region who are also watching this unfold. Where does this go, and is this possibly going to become more major than it is right now?
I think Iran, in this case, now holds that key. It could, if depending on how it responds, if it brings the United States in by attacking U.S. Bases or interests, it could broaden it that way. If they attack U.S. bases in Gulf countries, that means the United Arab Emirates, in Bahrain, in Kuwait, we have bases in all of those countries, and close relations more widely. If they respond to those countries that are allowing Israel to use their airspace, those countries that are helping Israel defend itself, as they did in 2024, Iran could widen this and make the cost a regional cost, because they have diplomatic relations, but so does Israel and the United States with several of the Gulf countries. Of course, the United States has diplomatic relations with all of them, but the cost could be borne by their partners as well as ours.
Gina Abercrombie-Winstanley, former U.S. diplomat in Israel. Really appreciate your analysis. Thank you.
My pleasure.